俺の大好きだった東漫はこんなんじゃない。
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation.
And today we're covering the second season of the Tokyo Revengers anime, the Christmas Showdown arc. Lies.
Known mostly as the Taiju arc. And the anime got picked up by Hulu from this season onwards, and it focuses on Takeamichi's battle with the Black Dragon Gang and its leader, Taiju, who I will refer to as Kaiju this entire podcast.
Right. But before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notifications of future podcasts and all the pause videos.
Thank you for joining us, subscribing, sharing our videos, commenting, so much more. As always, we really appreciate you. Our schedules.
Yes.
So, I became obsessed with Tokyo Revengers. I'm already going to go ahead and let you guys know. I have become absolutely obsessed. Started buying the mangas. Can't wait to read them. I've been waiting to read them because we're going to finish season 3. And I want to see how much the anime mirrors the manga. But for those of you not familiar, it's a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Ken Waku, and was serialized in the Shonen Manga magazine from March 2017 to November 2022. The manga has 31 volumes. It ran from March 1st of 2017 to November 2022. It's action, sci-fi, thriller, and Yankee. And there's a lot of time travel in it, which I think irritates some people who don't know. And the main character is Takeamichi Hanagaki, or Takeamichi, as he's called, and the Toman gang.
Yes.
Tokyo Manji. This is really, really interesting because when the manga ended, there were a lot of people upset by the end because it's a happy ending for everyone. But interestingly, by June of 2024, the manga has sold over 80 million copies in circulation, making it one of the best-selling mangas of all time.
Wow.
And in 2020, it won the 44th Kodansha Manga Award for the shonen category. So there.
Okay. And for this one, we actually had heard about Tokyo Revengers being now owned or licensed by Hulu/Disney. We had we actually hadn't finished season 1 at the time. We just heard about that, and a lot of people started to panic because it was like, well, now you cannot finish the rest of the series without going to Hulu.
And we've been watching it on Crunchyroll.
Right. So we ended up going back to Hulu, and that was one of the things we ended up watching. Because yes, you can only see season 1 specifically on Crunchyroll. If you want to see 1 through 3, you have to go on to Hulu. And so while it wasn't December at the time we watched the arc, we watched it anyway. And it was something almost unrecognizable and quite disturbing.
Yes. And from what I understand, this arc, the Tenjiku, or as I say, Kaiju, appears in the manga. And whereas the first season, you had, of course, the activity, the delinquent activity, the delinquents going to school, I think is hilarious. And you had some fighting episodes. You also had a lot of backstory, and you had a lot of fun. And it was more lighthearted except for those particular episodes, which made season 1 extremely enjoyable. Then you fast forward to the Kaiju arc, and is voiced by Ray Chase, who does Sukuna. That should have been a clue what was going to happen.
Right.
And this season was horrible in terms of the violence and the profanity, the vulgarity. Just the violence was just, oh my gosh. And Disney didn't want to put out money to do a real intro and a real outro. I'll say thank goodness that the outro music is good, because the intro is just like, okay, we're going to piggyback on season 1, but we're not going to put any effort into it, and we're going to take a lot of footage for season 1, and we're not going to have a good song like Crybaby. And it's like,
what is this? A lot of the time they were just staying around the whole intro, looking at the camera and this and that. They weren't even doing the casual running and stuff they always do in their intros. And then you get to like the season 3 one, and it's even worse. They don't even really move in that either. They use footage from season 2 and 1, and they have stills. It's like, at this point you're going to have like nothing going. It's going to be credits with a white background. We're going to get to that point. But for this arc, it was actually only, I think, 12 or 13 episodes. So it was much shorter than season 1. And for this one, there actually wasn't a whole lot going back and forth between timelines anymore either. Most of the time it stayed place in the past. And when you came across Taijus, or Kaijus you're going to call him, as soon as they start, I guess, fighting with him, and they actually end up fighting because he showed up to them and he just wanted to fight, it immediately starts going downhill because, of course, the storyline is still going that they haven't found a way to save Hina yet and the other members of Toman. So we're still into that story. But however, when it gets back to here, and they have this new villain, you already know that the characters are really known for a lot of the battles, especially the villains who are just like gladiators in modern day at this point. And Taiju kind of like ups the ante a lot, and not in a good way. He is like excruciatingly violent. Yeah. It's like he doesn't use knives and swords and weapons. His fists are the weapons, and he beats characters till they're bloody as heck,
including his own brother.
And yes, and they even go that far to show domestic abuse. And before I go any further, I should warn you, they even give you a warning now with this season. The first one didn't have it. They give you a mature audience and viewer discretion warning before every episode, because now it is so violent that they have to warn you that you can't let teenagers watch this anymore because they have made it so dark.
Well, I'm going to call them my heroes. Our Toman heroes are in here. And there are a couple episodes where we get to see Draken and Mikey step it up. But for the most part, it's just consisting of beatdowns and bloody beatdowns. It even starts off with that theme where you're picking up for the final episode of season 1 when Kiseki is now in charge. And he was getting ready to kill Takeamichi, and he has to get saved by Chifu. We should have known when we saw the first episode of season 2 that it was going to be dark and it was going to be weird. Now, if any of you have read the entire manga and you know if this is canon or not, let me know in the comments, because I can't figure out, based on what I'm reading online, whether any of this, all of it, or none of it is canon. But I can tell you this, I definitely did not like season 2. I did not like the arc. I did not like the Tenjiku gang or the characters. And like Rascal, I didn't like there were no brawls. Again, you would have two people fighting and everyone else was standing around. Or they were having flashbacks where he was beating the crap out of his sister and his brother.
Yeah, that was not good to watch.
You were trying to see Chifu help out Hawkeye. Tried to help him stand up and help him.
You stand up to his own brother, basically.
Yeah, I suppose he would stand up to his own brother and not be afraid and let him know he wasn't alone.
You're right.
But this was not an enjoyable season. I enjoy seeing my heroes, but this season just, it didn't measure up to season 1. And now we're going to find out how season 3 is. And I don't have high hopes for season 3 after seeing season 2.
Yeah. And
especially seeing the trailer for season 3.
Yeah.
And the animation for 2 also is lower quality than
it looks
season
bad,
1.
yeah.
Besides, as I said, the poor outro and intro. And looking at the animation for season 3, you can tell that it's gone down even more.
Yeah.
So why Disney tends to just lower the quality of anime they get the remainder of the seasons is, I don't know.
I can't tell.
It's almost like they don't care if they don't keep the fan base. They just want to be able to say they got another anime under their belt.
Content, yeah. And another thing, if this is an original and not part of the manga or something, the villain himself, Kaiju as you like to call him, there is no substance to him. He's just a malicious, sadistic psychopath that shouldn't be on the streets. There's no way to put it. And the worst part is it looks like he's 40, but he's still a teenager, and he's beating his own siblings, beating his so-called friends and group, being just like one step away from just being like on the most wanted list. And then they have the nerve to say, oh, well, traditionally, he's also a Christian who prays every Christmas Eve. It's like, so you're going to have this guy be a criminal and then put the label on him. And this is
a Catholic not a Christian.
Then why
because they had him in the Catholic Church.
Right.
And then they had him with the rosary thing. So he was a Catholic.
Yeah,
Catholic.
it had to be.
But that doesn't make it any better.
Exactly.
He was still a lunatic.
It doesn't paint a good picture either way of Catholics, period, because he's doing this, praying for peace, and then he's malicious with every person. You can't talk to this guy without him looking like to kill
telling them
somebody.
when he would go to hurt them, they were making him do it. Come on, he's an abuser.
Yeah.
That's what he is. He should have
what
never
the
been the head of that gang. It should have never happened. And I think everyone was so afraid of him is how he ended up in charge.
Yeah.
So we're going to give a spoiler here because we got to let you know. No one could beat him. No one could take him out.
No.
So they get in the church of all places.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
This thing on Christmas Eve, it seems to be a running trend
Joke.
in anime.
Yeah.
And he gets in the church with Chifu and Hawkeye and Takeamichi and that's one more person.
I think it's his sister too, right?
His sister and one more person. And he just keeps beating the crap out of Takeamichi.
For episodes.
Beating the crap out of Chifuyu. And Draken and Mikey show up. They hear Mikey's bike, and they're happy because they're like, we should call Mikey. No, this is our problem. We got to handle it. So before Mikey comes in and saves the day, because he does, you have Draken come in after Mikey. And he goes, oh, yeah, I took care of everything. He says, Kaiju said, no one's going to come help you because I got 100 guys outside. Well, Draken took all their butts out.
That was the one funny part.
Yes. And he says, oh, I took care of that, no problem. Mikey comes in, and he says, oh, you're the invincible Mikey. And he starts talking crap. And, of course, Mikey just stands there and then kicks the crap out of him, knocks him to the ground, knocks his sense out of him with his butt in the air, and it's all over. It's like, my Mikey! Yay!
And
but
that
they had
really
it where you didn't know
right.
he was going to come because they let them be beaten so badly.
For
it's
episodes. And it makes it a little uncomfortable to watch part of it because it's like, it's one thing they're fighting, but they're not fighting back. They're just getting beaten down over and over again, and you're just helpless to watch. Like, these people just won't do anything, and you're just praying that the characters don't get killed.
Yeah. So, I'm going to say so far, out of the seasons that we've seen, season 2 is the worst. I wish I had never seen it. It was so bad, guys, that I went back and watched all of season 1 all over again.
Yep.
Rascal started laughing. She said, you back on season 1? I said, I got to cleanse. I got to cleanse this. I got to get this out of my head because this was so horrible. So, I've watched season 1 again, and I'm so happy, and we're going to move on to season 3. But if you have seen Tokyo Revengers season 2, let us know in the comments below.
Yep.
Did you love it? Did you hate it? Is it canon? Let us know. And for those who have not seen it, it's exclusively on Hulu. You can't see it anywhere else. So if you are a huge Tokyo Revengers fan and you were looking forward to 2 and 3 and you can't see it, I'm so sorry, because if we hadn't taken this deal from Hulu, we wouldn't be watching it either.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos for your anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us again. You are so awesome. Thank you for your support, subscribing, sharing our videos, and so much more. As always,
you are special. Thank you so much for watching Rascal Entertainment.
And Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
決めたぜチフユブラックドラゴンをぶっ潰す